guys hear me now in the back? Okay, thank you. I'm going to start on a really somber note. Q Williams, who's a state rep from Middletown, a really incredible human being, a good father, a great legislator, a good friend of mine for 15 years. He passed away last night on his way back from the governor's ball in a horrible and senseless tragedy. And Q is, you know, we were around the same age. We kind of came up as young Dems together. Was just such an infectious personality. He would walk into a room like this and light up the room. He had so much joy and love in his heart. It just bubbled over and touched those around him. And he is such a light in this world that we have lost. He has so much love and so much care and compassion and encouragement. We spoke for a while last night about tonight and about my journey and what I was doing, and he was so excited to be chair of labor and so excited for his upcoming session, and I was so devastated this morning when I heard the news and prayed about it. Wasn't sure if we would go forward with this event, and I felt like for those of you who knew him in this room, I hope that this is a place where you can find solace together among other people who knew and loved Q Williams. And so I just want to take, if you guys will join me, a brief moment of silence for Q and for his memory. If you guys would please bow your heads and take a moment of silence. Thank you. I am going to invite up my campaign manager, Luz Holmes, and we're going to get the rest of this program started. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all so much for coming out. We are going to start off this campaign with the national anthem, and then we're going to go right into our program for today, where I will be followed by an amazing woman. So I'll do that right after the national anthem, so we can just reverence this moment. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, where so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you so much. So it is my honor and my privilege to introduce my mentor, a woman of wisdom, an activist, an advocate, a community organizer, and someone that has truly taken me under her wing and just raised me up to the leader that I am today. I want to introduce to some and just welcome again to the stage Miss Denise Best. Please give her a round of applause.
So I guess there's absolutely nothing Queens can't do. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the launch party for Arunan Arulampalam, mayoral candidate for the city of Hartford. I met Arunan 1 year ago at the beginning of the 2022 legislative session when he came to the Voices of Women of Color looking for support for a bill that he fought for last session to build a $20 million loan fund for homeowners. Arunan is the CEO of the Hartford Land Bank. The city will purchase and rehab blighted properties and then sell them to first-time home buyers. The land bank is currently working towards creating 10 new home ownership opportunities. The redevelopment has a community focus. Arunan personally canvasses neighborhoods going door to door around each of the blighted properties to talk to residents about what they would like to see there. As an entity set up to serve the residents of Hartford, Arunan works hard to ensure that each resident feels that they have a voice in the process. Now that, in and of itself, is a worthy endeavor. But once in the position, Arunan added an innovative component. He created a training program, the first of its kind in the nation, that trains Hartford residents to take on and develop vacant and blighted properties, and then commits capital and ongoing mentoring as they develop their first property that would be sold to first-time homeowners in Hartford. The goal is to build wealth in our residents while redeveloping our vacant and blighted properties. Building generational wealth in the community, staving off gentrification, and addressing the problem decades old in Hartford of out-of-state developers buying up our housing stock and becoming slumlords in our poorest neighborhoods. As a matter of fact, when Arunan was the deputy director of the Department of Consumer Protection, he helped to institute a lawsuit against Emmanuel Koo, a slumlord of great notability in North Hartford, for the substandard living conditions that I just alerted to. That lawsuit was the first of its kind in the nation. Isn't that the second time that I've said the first of its kind in the nation? Also, while Deputy Commissioner, Arunan was an integral member of the team negotiating the cannabis bill, fighting hard for the creation of a social equity commission and to ensure that 75% of the state's revenue would go back directly to black, brown, and poor white communities most impacted by the war on drugs. And for those of you of whom cannabis offends your sensibilities, realize that it's quite similar to alcohol and legalized gambling. The difference is 75% of the revenue will help eradicate social and racial injustice and promote a better quality of life for those who suffer the most. Arunan was an attorney at Updike, Kelly, and Scolassi, focusing on corporate finance. While there, out of a firm of 70, not 17, but 70 attorneys, he was the only attorney of color. Arunan is a family man who lives in the community. Perhaps you've seen him around with a multitude of well-behaved children in there. Okay, fine. Children. His wife, Liza, is the senior pastor of the First Church of Christ. Need I say more? I will say one more thing. I don't know about you, but I'd rather judge a candidate on a proven record, the work he or she has already done, or is already involved in, than potentially empty campaign promises. Now, repeat these 5 syllables after me. Arulampalam. 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 Remember that name. Because with your help, Arunan Arulampalam will be our next mayor.
How you doing tonight, Hartford? I want to start by thanking Carlos Muta and the folks at Parkville Market for hosting us here tonight in this beautiful hall. Thank you to all of you who are here. This is an incredible turnout. We've got folks up in the rafters and down here. It's so heartwarming to see all of you here, so thank you for being here tonight. My name is Arunan, and I'm here tonight to declare my candidacy for mayor of the city of Hartford. Thank you. Now, I'm running for mayor because Hartford needs a leader with the experience necessary to run this city. We need a leader with a vision for the future of this city. And we need a leader who will love the people that they serve. I know that I have the experience to be ready to lead on day one. And I hope you'll see tonight that I've got a vision for the future of the city that speaks to all of Hartford. But more than that, I've got a heart that loves this city and that loves the people of this city. Now, my family and I live in a neighborhood here in Hartford, right off of Park and Broad Street. We're raising our 5 small kids in a community that's just as beautifully diverse as our own family is. And like many of my neighbors, I'm an immigrant to this country. You know, my family were refugees from Sri Lanka. They left a brutal and bloody civil war in Sri Lanka. They moved to Zimbabwe, where I was born, and then came to the U.S. And in the U.S., we found safety and opportunity. We didn't always see an equal share of respect. Growing up as an immigrant kid with a funny name and a bit of a funny accent, I got used to being overlooked and underestimated. And over time, that became my superpower because it allowed me to see that there's a beauty and a depth and boundless potential in the places where most people fail to look. Hartford is a city that is used to being overlooked and underestimated. The neighborhood where we are raising our kids is a neighborhood with people that are used to being overlooked and underestimated. But let me tell you something tonight. Don't sleep on Hartford, because Hartford is a city bounding with untapped potential. Hartford is a city whose best days are ahead of us. And I'm running for mayor of Hartford because I believe in the future of this city. Now, I know that we have struggles in Hartford. The struggles of Hartford families are real to me. They're personal because they're my neighbors. Their kids go to school with my kids. They share the same hopes and dreams that our family shares. And for that reason, the promise and the potential of Hartford families is just as real and personal to me. And I promise you that if I am your mayor, if I have the privilege of serving you, that I will go to sleep every night and wake up every morning thinking only about the families of Hartford and about how we build a brighter future for all of our children. This is a beautiful, this is a beautiful city, and you know, I recognize that I have had opportunities in my life that many of my neighbors didn't. You know, when we bought our first home in Hartford, I was working as a lawyer downtown at Updike, Kelly, and Spellacy. I went on from there to join the Lamont administration as Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Consumer Protection, where I helped run an agency with over 200 employees, and over $50 million in annual revenue, and got to work on some of the biggest legislative issues at the Capitol. I have some of my colleagues here in the room with me, my former colleagues. I got to see firsthand what it takes to run a government agency. I also got to see how rare it was for people like me to be at the table when decisions were made for communities like mine. And I love that job, and I felt so fortunate to serve in that capacity. But I could see closer to home that folks in my neighborhood were hurting. In the winter of 2020, during some of the darkest days of the COVID pandemic, I watched as my neighbors, the Section 8 residents who lived in the apartment complex right next door to me, lost their homes before the holidays. Now, in my time living in next to that apartment complex, we'd seen it go from being owned by a Hartford resident to being owned by an out-of-town slumlord who didn't care to maintain that property. And almost immediately, it fell under disrepair. The grass became overgrown. We got liquor bottles and needles in the parking lot next door that would come into our driveway. We saw the building fall into disrepair. And then in this winter of 2020, the landlords in that property told the residents that they had to leave. And a few residents stuck around to try to fight the unlawful eviction, and the landlords cut the power. They called DCF on the families with kids. They pushed them out of there. And in that time, I felt so helpless and so angry. You know, to this day, that building sits vacant. And the community that was there has been scattered by some out-of-town investors who are willing to put some numbers on a spreadsheet over the lives of real families, my neighbors. And so when I saw an opportunity to help, to become part of the Hartford Land Bank, I jumped at the chance to make a difference in housing in my neighborhood, in my city. At the Hartford Land Bank, as Denise said, we do something different. We take vacant and blighted properties from the city, but we work with Hartford residents to redevelop them. By training our own residents, by investing in our own residents, we're not just changing buildings or facades. We're building opportunities for wealth. We're creating opportunities for home ownership. We're transforming communities from within, home by home, brick by brick, block by block, person by person. In my job, I get to be part-time developer, part-time organizer, but more than anything, I'm somebody who sits with communities and dreams about what our neighborhoods can look like, and then goes out and works to make it a reality. When I go around our cities, I love walking around our neighborhoods. And when I walk around our neighborhoods, I see vacant and blighted properties all over our city. Many of the same properties you guys see. And I know that for so many passing through our city, those properties are a symbol of a city whose best days are behind it, a city in decline. But that's not what I see. When I look at Hartford, when I look at our neighbors, our neighborhoods, I close my eyes and I dream of the city that is yet to be. I dream of the city that is yet to come. I dream of vacant storefronts filled with Hartford-based businesses. Businesses breathing life into old commercial corridors. Businesses in neighborhoods drawing folks into our neighborhoods, just like this building right here, that only 3 years ago was a vacant warehouse, and today is a food hall drawing folks into the Parkville neighborhood. I dream of this everywhere in our city. I dream of homes being filled by Hartford homeowners, breaking generational cycles by building wealth right where they live for the very first time. I dream of a city teeming with energy, teeming with excitement, with enthusiasm, not because we pulled it from somewhere on the outside, but because we found our own heart. We found our own self. We invested in Hartford, and we built something new, something unique, something that only we can build. I dream of the city that is yet to be, the city that will be, if only we have the faith to believe in it, if only we have the strength, the power, the resilience to believe in Hartford. So I'm here tonight to ask you, do you believe in Hartford? I do. Let me tell you about the Hartford that I believe in. I believe in a Hartford, number one, that rebuilds each of our neighborhoods, putting them on a pathway to growth, to revitalization, to economic development, and to empowerment. Now, I want to take a moment here to stop and acknowledge the contributions of our current mayor, Luke Cronin. Luke and so many other elected officials in this city gave of their time and their energy and their talent to build hope in what was possible in Hartford. He worked hard to set our city on a strong fiscal path to allow the kind of future investments that we're going to talk about here tonight, and to redevelop our downtown and bring folks back into our city. But there's so much work that still needs to be done to ensure that we keep that momentum going, to ensure that every person in every neighborhood feels that growth, feels that development, feels that opportunity right where they live. Now, as your mayor, I want to start by continuing to invest in Hartford, and that means investing in our downtown, but also investing in our neighborhoods. Focusing on one street corner or block in which we can build small businesses in each of our neighborhoods, and then build housing and home ownership to go around it. I believe in that everyone should live in a neighborhood that feels like a community. And working together and leveraging new dollars coming into our city, we're going to do just that. As your mayor, I'm going to create a dedicated fund of capital to allow for Hartford residents to buy homes and start businesses in our formerly red line neighborhoods. I believe that the best investment we can make is by investing in the people who already live in this city. Second, I believe in a city hall that works for all residents, regardless of their income level or what neighborhood they live in, regardless of how big or small their issue may seem. It may not seem like much, but we've got to get mattresses and trash off of our sidewalks. We got to fix broken lights and put up street signs. If we want people to believe that government can do the big things, we've got to do the small things well. We also need to demand that each of our residents is treated with the same dignity and respect that residents in every other neighborhood expect. How can we be comfortable when folks in our neighborhoods, in our city, go to sleep every night in cold, broken down, rat-infested housing right here? I can't. As your mayor, I'm going to go after the slumlords who refuse to maintain their properties. We're making millions off of our most marginalized citizens. I am going to take their properties. I'm going to work with the state to go after their wealth, and I'm going to give it to Hartford residents to redevelop and to build investments so everyone can have safe and dignified housing right here in Hartford. How can we be comfortable when kids are getting gunned down in our streets? When mamas worry about whether their child is going to make it home from school? Abuelas worry about whether they can make it to the corner store and back without getting hit by a stray bullet. I won't be comfortable. We know that there's a small group of people in the city that commit the vast majority of violent crimes. And we need to work together to continue the work done to coordinate between our school system, our police, our nonprofits, to identify who those people are, to intervene early and to stop crime before it happens. But we also know that that's not enough. That we're not going to really move the needle on crime in Hartford until we deal with the systemic issues that drive crime in cities like Hartford in a way that we just don't see in surrounding neighborhoods. And that means housing, the kind of housing we're building at the Landfill. It means economic development in our neighborhoods. It means a real pipeline of job creation. But it also means a system that makes good on its promise to every single child. I believe, number 3, in a Hartford that takes its role as the village seriously and embraces each of our children. Look, our children are hurting now coming out of this pandemic, maybe more than ever before. And as a village, it's our responsibility to feed into the promise that each of our children hold long before we criminalize the dangers that we expect them to become. As your mayor, I'm going to work to keep our schools open, our neighborhood schools open, as a starting point each night after the school day is over. Turning them into the community centers that they once were, and giving kids a space to be kids again. It'll give parents in this city, many of whom are working multiple jobs, the peace of mind of knowing that their child is somewhere safe at night. And it'll give kids in this city a place where they can be kids, where they can have a real alternative to our streets. And then working through those schools, Working with our city agencies and nonprofits, we're going to rebuild real sports and rec programs in each and every one of our neighborhoods. Robust sports and rec, along with music and the arts and academic supports and mental health supports for our children who face unknown trauma in our city. And yes, all of those things will be expensive. But Hartford deserves a mayor who will make the case to the state forcefully that it costs far less to set a child on the right path than it does to criminalize an adult who's fallen on the wrong one. And I will be that mayor. That is the Hartford that I believe in. A Hartford that rebuilds each of its neighborhoods, that empowers each of its residents, and that gives each of its children a real chance to succeed, to spread their wings and soar. And so I'll ask you tonight, do you believe in that Hartford? Yeah! Are you ready to fight for that Hartford? Yeah! That's good. That's good, because I need your help. In this election, look, if we want to win this election, if we want to build that Hartford, it's not going to be by relying on the old politics of fear and division that have held us back for so long. It's going to be by coming together, by building a new coalition that reaches across every part of this city, by recognizing our collective strength, and by unifying as one Hartford. Look, Hartford, we can't keep pulling each other apart. We can't keep pulling the city apart. As a leader who loves this city, I can't pit neighborhood against neighborhood, community against community, any more than I can pit my own children, who themselves are Black and Latino and white, Jamaican and Puerto Rican, Congolese and Sri Lankan, all against each other. Hartford, we are too small of a city to keep fighting over a shrinking piece of the pie. And we are too strong of a city to keep begging for the scraps from the table. It is time for us to come together, to work together, and to build a bigger table for everyone. I want to try something, if you'll humor me in this room for a moment. I grew up in the church, and on Sunday mornings when we pray, we'd all hold hands. And to me, it was such a powerful symbol of our interconnectedness, our reliance on each other, and on how much power we have when we stand together. And so I'm going to ask you, if you are comfortable and if your neighbors are comfortable, check first. If you're comfortable with that, look for a second. Reach out for a second and hold the hand of the person to your right and to your left in this room. And as you do that, take a moment to look around this room. I mean, look at this place. Look at the diversity in this place. Look at the beautiful people in this place. We have Black folks and white folks and Latino folks, and Asian folks. We have rich with poor, old with young. We have men and women, gay and straight, every color of the LGBTQIA rainbow, people of different ethnicities, different religions, different nationalities, people from every single part of this city, and neighbors from outside Hartford who believe in the future of this city, all of us standing here together tonight as one Hartford, because we believe in the future, and this is how we win. This is how we move our city forward. All of us together as one unified Hartford. We are all standing in this room tonight because we believe in the future of this city, because we believe in a brighter day in Hartford. And that day is coming, but it's going to take all of us working together, fighting together to make that happen. So are you ready to fight? Are you with me? Then I'm going to need each of you to get involved. This election, it's going to take 6,000 people to elect a mayor in Hartford, which means that if just 600 people, that's not that many, 600 people say, I can bring me and 9 other people. It could be your friends, your family, folks in your building or at work, whoever it is. If you can find your 9 people across the city of Hartford, all of you, And we'll help you with that on the campaign. We'll help you identify who those people are. And then organize them. I'll come over to your living room or your backyard or your local restaurant or bar, we can do it right here if you want, and organize them and convince them of why we need to get out and vote. Then you will get to pick your next mayor. That's how simple it is, because you have that much power. And I want to say this again, in case nobody's ever told you this. Each and every one of you in this room has so much power to determine the future of this city. And so I am not going to disrespect you by just asking for your vote. I'm going to ask you all to get involved. Now, in a moment here, I'm going to make two specific asks. We've got volunteers all around this room. They've got white Arunan t-shirts on, they've got clipboards, and they're going to fan out. Can our volunteers raise their hands real quick? Thank you. Thank you to our volunteers. They're going to fan out across this room. And if you don't find somebody with a clipboard, or if you're watching this online, you can go right now to arunforhartford.com. I need to know right now. You can go to www.arunforhartford.com right now on your smartphone or on your computer, and you can sign up to contribute something and to get involved and bring some people with you. Now, I know that not everybody likes to knock doors or make phone calls, and if you are willing to do that, we need that help too. We're going to knock a lot of doors, we're going to make a lot of calls, but every single person who's committed to the future of the city, who believes in this campaign, everybody can give a little bit, whatever you can, whether it's $10 or $100 or $1,000, to contribute in some way to helping us build this grassroots campaign that's going to reach every part of the city. And everybody can find some people in the city of Hartford to get out and vote. So I'm going to put you all on the spot. Would you just raise your hand if you're willing to do that tonight before you leave, to sign up, to get some people out to vote with you, and to give a little bit to this campaign? This is incredible. Thank you, guys. These hands are an incredible sign, because if we can do this, we're going to win this campaign, and we are going to convince a lot of other people to believe in Hartford with us. Look, this is a beautiful city. This is a city with incredible people. It's a city worth fighting for. And together we are going to fight for the future of Hartford. Through this campaign, through each and every one of you, the people of Hartford are going to see their strength in a new way. They're going to hear the power of their own voice. And if we can do that, then Hartford will never be overlooked or underestimated in the same way again. So are you with me? Are you ready to fight? Do you believe in Hartford? Do you believe in Hartford? Let's get to work. God bless you all. Thank you.